We'll mark it's 9:15.
Okay. I've given you all an application packet for a change in land use that comes from Brandon and Jenica Jordan. This is Brandon and Jenica over here. You know everybody? All the supervisors? Okay. Haley, you know. Brandon and Jenica live at 6023 32nd Avenue. Usually we have a map on the wall, which I don't have, but in the application packet you do see that there is a copy of the plat map. They would like to change the use of 2 acres of land that's located in the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter. It's section 2785-9. It's in Benton Township. The proposed new non-ag use is a wedding venue. It'll be situated off 32nd Avenue on the west side of the road. It's approximately a half mile north of where 61st Street Lane intersects with 32nd Avenue, Oak Grove Church Corner. Go north, it's on the west hand side of the road, approximately a half mile. The parent parcel that we're looking at today is 11.1 acres. It's presently owned by Bo Shannon Incorporated. Rick Osterkamp used to be a resident of the area. They still own this land. The venue would be just south of where Brandon and Jenica currently live along the highway. The plan, as I understand it, is that they'd like to construct a 64-foot by 100-foot building. It would have the capacity of 250 guests. The venue will not have a kitchen or a bar, and the plan is that people renting the facility would provide their own food and drinks. The building is going to be set up to be a year-round facility, but for now it would have an event only during the warmer months and likely on Saturdays only. As far as the technical aspects of this that we normally look at, the land is currently in production. It does have alfalfa there, taking a hay crop off of it. The soil is a silt loam, has a CSR of a 68. There is an existing driveway there. Randy Sherwood has reviewed it and reports that it does meet the requirements of the driveway resolution. But he did state in his report that in the event that if the driveway is moved, it would have to be reconfigured to have the 6-to-1 slopes due to the fact that it's along the highway. Side slopes, that is. There would be a new well and septic system necessary for this venue. Even though there isn't a kitchen, obviously there would be restrooms there. Restrooms are planned for the facility. Not sure yet exactly how many restrooms that would be. They will be classified as private wells and septic systems. The number of people would not exceed the requirement that would push it into the public arena. The septic system, I can tell you at this point in time, would be sized based upon the estimated flow that would be coming out of that building, primarily so many gallons per person per day. This proposed use is in an area that does have residences around, several smaller acreages. There is some farmland and there is a broadcasting tower that exists immediately on the north side of this particular parcel. If you look at the aerial, you can pretty much see where these acreages and residences are that I gave to you with the application packet. There is an existing home that's located just in the front, if you will, of where this parcel is. It's occupied by the Manleys who are here today. It's basically east and northeast of where the new building would be located on this parcel that we have looking at today. In respect to that particular acreage, the driveway runs across the south boundary of that acreage, and I did have a discussion with Brandon prior to today's hearing that if that posed any kind of a problem for the existing acreage, that they are willing to look into the possibility of moving that existing driveway further south. if it would be legal and meet the county's requirements as far as locating a new access off of 32nd Avenue, they are willing to do that if it would make, I don't know that it's a bad situation, but improve on the situation as far as the neighbors are concerned. And they also do plan to plant vegetative barriers around the building, trees specifically. So from the standpoint of shielding the business somewhat from the adjacent property owners. As far as the venue itself, it's 3.5 miles if it were to be located. It's 3.5 miles north of Schellsburg, and of course it is on a hard surface road. We notified 8 adjacent property owners of this request, and of course we placed legal notices in our official newspapers of Benton County as is required. I only received a phone call in advance of today's hearing from the Manleys. Didn't hear anything else. The Manleys just called yesterday, as a matter of fact, and so we could tell them where this was at, basically, and where the hearing is going to be held. So obviously there are adjacent property owners here today. Mr. Chairman, I would say that that's all my organized remarks at the moment. I wouldn't, if Brandon or Jenica want to say anything else, certainly you can. If not, can entertain hear from the members of the public that are here, or any questions that I might answer before that.
This first colored photo, I'm guessing this is this basically an existing driveway? Is that what that is?
That is facing out towards the highway. That's looking at the access that's coming in that is along the southern boundary of the property.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the current driveway.
That's the current setup, the way it exists presently. The other photographs are just basically showing you what the land looks like and facing towards the west, towards the northwest, looking at what that piece of land looks like as far as agriculturally.
Okay. How far down the road is it feasible to put another driveway?
That I don't know yet. I haven't looked into that. I have not looked into that.
Okay.
Site distance is a requirement of 500 feet both ways as far as establishing a new driveway, and obviously I didn't measure that. I didn't think about that even being a possibility at the time, but he did mention that if it were feasible, they would be willing to look into doing that.
Okay.
Now, as far as that existing driveway, it looks like it's been being mowed. I'm assuming that you folks have been mowing that, but that is that property that they're wanting to buy. That isn't their property where that's coming in. That is property that belongs to this acreage that they've been helping maintain it.
Okay.
Did I say that correctly?
Right.
Okay.
If I may ask, Brandon, Mark indicated that you're going to be putting trees around and this is your sketch, around the building, is that correct?
We're obviously not right away, but, well,
We can build it first, yeah.
right, but we're planning on planting close to 300 trees.
Okay, so-
And we have Kevin Watson north of, and he's got a bunch of bigger oak trees and stuff that we're gonna transplant to there. So I mean, they're not all gonna be little saplings. We're gonna bring in nice big trees.
Yeah.
And then as far as like their property, we had there's a row of pine and spruce trees that are on our property, but they were cut up 6 feet. And so now there's visual between the two properties, and we're gonna fill those back in with more blue spruces just to create more of a wall for like noise.
Because from the aerial here, last page, which is the beacon, it shows trees, from what I can see, on the north and on the west side of their property. Would you be planning to put additional trees such as along the driveway? Okay, which would
And
help.
if we could move that driveway south as far as we can, there's a ravine over there, but we can still move it over. I think it's like 120 feet, I think is what we did, but then that would give all that much more room. We're gonna plant 3 rows of trees, staggered trees down that whole driveway.
Okay.
To eliminate.
Add a buffer for lights as well as noise.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Those are the questions I had. Thank you. Thank you. Gentlemen, questions
No
there?
question.
Okay.
I'm here from the phone.
Okay. Please state your names. Yep.
Okay, good morning. My name is Dennis Manley, and my wife and I are here to oppose the request to change the agricultural land to a non-agricultural land use. We live at the 6045 32nd Avenue, which is directly east of the proposed wedding venue building. Their property includes the field that is directly behind our home and a strip of land directly south of our property that goes from the field back to 32nd Avenue. And that strip of land was, when they divided these things, for the farmers to have a tractor access to the field back there. And it's like right on our property line. And this plan that is being proposed is for the venue would make that strip of land into an access road to the venue, and the road would be parallel to the entire length of our property. Well, when we purchased the property, it was platted by the previous owners for a few building sites, 4 houses. So we understood that the worst case scenario would be a few houses built in the field behind us. We would never have bought this property if there was a business there or a proposed business that could create a lot of traffic on a road that would be very close to the south edge of our property. And we understand that there could be up to 60 different wedding and receptions over a year's time, which could most likely every weekend. We are estimating that there could be 100, 150 vehicles coming to that venue to attend the weddings and receptions. And I would expect there would be catering vehicles, floral deliveries, rehearsals, and I would expect there would be some use of alcohol and loud music. We want to live in a peaceful, quiet, non-business rural area, and I feel that the road traffic and the venue can't help but devalue our property. And that's about all I have for you.
Other?
My name is Scott Peters, and I live just to the north. And I've talked to a few neighbors, and they agree that we also oppose.
Leanne Jagger, we own the property in the back along 61st, all around there. No. When they go into grade that'll change that whole atmosphere where we have a runoff with it. And it goes into creek back there. If me or my family wants to build a house back there, I don't want to have a wedding venue up the road. Just like they said, noise, lights, it's peaceful.
What are we
It
gonna
also changes the dynamic of the whole area. You know, as far as wildlife, you know, just the farming community. We have to preserve some of this farmland instead of giving it all to construction, wedding venues. I mean, I cannot see, and granted, I don't foresee a lot of people going out north of Shelburne for a wedding venue. That's just my personal perspective.
Sir,
Yeah, I live,
please
my name's
proceed.
Gil Rowden,
Thank you.
and I live it'd be just south of, where this is gonna be developed. And, I talked to Brandon and Jen about it last night, and they took me out and showed me where it was gonna be at and such, and I can't imagine that with Brandon's past, Jen's past, that they wouldn't build something that was really nice. You know, I mean, it's gonna be really nice. But it is gonna be a venue it's gonna be a business basically, and it's gonna, you know, I'm sure that they're gonna do whatever it takes to make it profitable, which, I mean, you know, everybody has good intentions and a dream to do something that they really wanna do. You know, I did that when I was younger, you know, naturally. And, you know, it is gonna create, I told Brandon last night, you know, I'm not concerned about what it's gonna look like, who it's gonna attract, anything like that. But I am worried about, as far as like the loud music, what that's gonna be like, and as far as just the amount of alcohol partying and stuff like that goes on there, and how that's going to be controlled. You know, people bring their own alcohol.
Trash.
How is that going to be monitored? You know, and how is that going to be? You know, does the Benton County Police Force want to be out there on that road every time they have some type of a party? You know, I'm not sure. You know, I'm either for or against it, but there's just some things that it is going to change the neighborhood, I guess. You know, everybody that lives out there, I mean, they're great people. You know, everybody gets along really well, friendly, no arguments, no and such, and so I mean, I hate to see this even become a big issue, you know, because everybody gets along so well out there. And I guess I'd hate to have your guys' position, I guess, you know, when it comes to something like this.
What if your kids wanted to get married there and had the best wedding ever, and it made great memories?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility, you know, it's definitely.
As far as like the alcohol, my mom's run a bar in Walford for the last 15 years, and hundreds of thousands of people go to that place weekly, drinking, all that stuff. She's never had, I know you're worried about somebody knocking on your door. She lives directly across from her bar. Never had anybody knock on her door drunk saying, hey, this is my home, you know. It's not really, that's not what people do. I mean, it's a wedding venue. It's not a college party hangout, you know. We had our wedding in Amana in a barn, and very respectful. We cleaned up our mess. As far as trash goes, I mean, that's something for me to worry about. I'll clean up the trash. The adjusting the ground, the grading and stuff. There's not much grading to do out there. Actually, what we're gonna do is, where we're building is actually, I think it's 4 feet lower than their red house, and we're gonna bring that down 2 more feet and level that out. So this place is actually gonna sit down and be surrounded by 8 foot tall, big blue stem grass, trees. I mean, it's almost gonna be like its own little world out there.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as keeping ground, ag ground, it's a hard surface road in Benton County, which you can't develop on gravel roads. So where's everybody gonna build? You wanna build your new house, that's disrupting the ground. I mean, it's the world we live in. People are building everywhere. You know, it's just the world that we live in.
Yeah, I know if it was last year or the year before. I mean, naturally, I was over to Peglow Lake fishing, and I mean, they had a wedding going on at the lake out there. And I mean, they were playing music that's like, I don't even know what type of music that it was, but it was very, very loud, very, very disturbing. The park ranger was out there, and he was basically worried about people clear across the lake, that were camping, complaining about that music. And, I don't know, like I said, I'm neither for or against it. I can see pluses and minuses. If my grandkids want to get married there, yeah, they may. They may have a great thing, but I can also see on the other hand where, there could be, it's kind of the unknown that I'm more scared of than anything, I guess, Brandon, and it's like, I know you guys really, want to do this. You guys have this perfect vision, and everything, and that's great, it's like, that's great. And I hope, if it does go through, I hope that's what it's like, but I just know how people are these days. And if you get 250 people in a group, sometimes they're pretty hard to corral. If they're the wrong crowd.
I mean, yeah,
so,
if it was a college party,
I'm not sure.
I can see it if it was a college party or something. I mean, what kind of weddings do you guys go to? Everybody I've been to, everybody's mature. There isn't fireworks, which that's not even going to be allowed, but there's not fireworks, not people playing beer pong, it's not, it's just the weddings I go to are calm and everybody's, having a good time. They're talking indoors. This building's going to be built to the hill. There's going to be spray foamed, all insulated. It's going to be, I'm literally basically building this thing into this little world the best that I can to basically legally get rid of all this noise that everybody's worried about. And as far as road noise goes, you and both of you two actually live closer to the highway than you do my driveway. And you have big timber down the road. You have Betterton's motocross track that's always ripping out there. You got the Oak Grove Church that sometimes pulls in a couple hundred people that at one time was a little tiny church and now it's a huge church that grew because we're growing out there, it's a growing area. And nobody complained about that.
Well, that was all there before we were. And
The Oak Grove Church,
just
I grew up
because
on
there's
32nd
something
Avenue.
going on there now doesn't mean adding to it would be a benefit. I don't see it benefiting any one of us neighbors.
Well, the only thing that's going to benefit you is the things that you want to do in your life. I'm not doing this to benefit you.
Obviously.
It's not, it's a building that, we want to build for ourselves. It's not, and for the community.
Have people to rent. When we were looking for a wedding venue, it was very difficult for us. We had to go out of the county to look for it and give the other counties money to rent spaces. And we had rules of noise.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we had to,
Humana
the owner guy come over, specifically would check on us at what time it
It was at 10
was.
o'clock. We had to turn the music down.
Yeah.
But we don't plan on, we live right next door to it. We're gonna be affected as anybody else would be. So we don't plan on having it get out of sorts over there and the noise and stuff. We plan to have a family someday. And we don't want a little baby woken up by loud music and riffraff. And we're gonna also set this at a price point where it's gonna attract probably the upper sort of types of people that are looking to, they're gonna have to spend quite a pretty penny to get it even rented. Instead of the higher price point.
If I may, I'm sorry.
Is it okay if I say something? I think our house and property is the most affected by it. We're the closest. We're gonna have a road now at the side of our house. We have the highway in front. It's just that, we want to live in a quiet rural area without businesses. And if you want to do a venue like that, I would think you would do it on a property, that doesn't have houses or other property close by. The traffic is a big concern. They'll be coming down the highway, 32nd Avenue, and a lot of, just turning into that to go to the venue. And this is right beside our house, exactly, right on next to our lawn. And it's just absolutely not what we want. I mean, it's not what we ever planned would happen when we bought the land. We never expected anything like that.
I want to point out that recently we had a wedding venue that we approved north of Benton, just off of 150, and it is extremely close to residential areas. The proximity to that venue and it sets back off the road as you're proposing. That venue sits very close to a neighbor as well. The gentleman that owns Clickstop, and I apologize, I can't think of his name.
Gunther, thank you, Gunther.
Yep, and so I have been to venues that have been the rural setting, as you mentioned, as they're seeking. And they were held inside, they had room to go outside on the patio, and everything was very controlled, very conducted in a business-like fashion, if you will. So, I see this as no different than what we've already approved, to be very honest. We've already done this for a wedding venue. I pray to God that it would, two of them in Benton County, would bring in additional revenues, to the county, because if we don't do something, open our eyes, taxes are going to go up for all residential places, because we cannot continue to take in account the growing costs of goods and costs of labor, and have less and less lost revenue funds come in, for example, or property taxes. So, sir.
I'm sorry, you finish and then I'll.
Well, I've made no bones through my campaign previously to being elected, through my time on the board. I've made no bones that I am pro-business, pro-development, and don't want to do things that's outside the box, but we've already approved this. This board has already approved, not this one, but one similar in a more residential area. So on a busier highway. So, sir.
I was just gonna say, well, the affected neighbors, and I'm only speaking for myself, I would rather pay a little more in property taxes than stand the chance of losing a little property value because of a party venue being next door.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I've got a real estate sales license, to be very honest with you. I'm not sure that if I was listing the property, that'd say, oh, wow, this just devalued your property. Now, I would probably say that if they were looking at a hog confinement, no offense to any farmers in the area, but having it that close would be detrimental.
But I believe your clientele would be less, because if there was two equal houses, one sitting near a wedding venue and one 5 miles away, personally, I'd go for the 5 mile away one. I mean, an occasional party is one thing, but one every weekend with 250 people, that is a disruption.
And
Like I said,
again,
it's just my opinion and a few other opinions, and you guys have the last say, so.
Yeah. Well, as I indicated, this is nothing different than what we've already done this morning, as far as I can see. So that's my opinion there.
Question for you, did you set any rules in place when you approved casinos on a noise or any rules on that for them? What time they had to shut their venues down?
No.
No.
Yeah, I'd like to think, if there's complaints, that then we would look at that. It would go to the law enforcement first.
Right, you call them.
So how many venues in Benton County are you going to just approve?
How many would we approve?
Mhm.
Well, we don't have anyone come up from the southern part of the county yet.
It didn't answer my question.
I don't
What,
know.
well, you wanted 50
How
of them.
many people were gonna come forth and ask for putting up a venue?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. You know, would we approve each and every one? I don't know. That's an unknown. You know, if somebody came up from the Belle Plaine area and asked to put a venue up, would we do that? I would sure hope so. I would definitely hope so. So now we have in the past castles down there along Highway 30. They had some opposition from neighbors, and we required them to put up some trees so that it wouldn't be offensive, so the neighbors wouldn't have to look upon that building, if you will. So that was a requirement that we made.
I mean, we already plan on doing
I,
that. We love trees.
that's what Brandon had indicated, you know, and that made sense to me, especially if you're putting, you know, 3 rows to try to act as a noise and light barrier, you know, so that makes sense.
So what size of trees are they going to put in? I mean, it takes years and years and years for these trees to grow. So you're talking about 30 years down the road, they're not gonna have any light in their yard? 30 years, they're not gonna have any noise?
Well, they live right on the highway anyway.
I believe that Brandon had indicated, and I didn't ask for, and he didn't state, you know, what type of trees, you know, but he indicated that they would not be all little saplings. So I would hope that you would put up kind of like a windbreak, basically.
You plant successions of different types in case
Exactly.
one species dies off.
Mhm.
Some grow quicker than others. I mean, you set it up like you would a hog confinement, having to put one person on a hog confinement.
Yeah, I don't know how many are around hog confinements.
I'm just saying, I mean,
Right.
people tend to put
Yep.
break stuff for neighbors around hog confinements. So,
We understand where all you guys are coming from.
yeah.
And we're not just throwing up this place in the middle of the field and not doing anything, you know, we're trying to work with you here. All these trees and this big blue stem that's 8 feet tall, or together 8 feet tall, that's thousands and thousands of dollars going out of our pocket. Literally just to make the place look good, but also to help with noise and issues that you guys are concerned about. And I hope that you guys see that, as like, you know, yeah, I understand that I can see where you're coming from, but you know, I just hope that you see what we're trying to help out with here and doing. We're not just blowing you guys off and being ignorant about it.
Well, it kind of sounds to me like this board has already made their mind up. So I don't even know why this was.
I don't know that the board has made their mind up. I know that the board has what they've done in the past. That's what I know. We've not called for any motions or seconds or any vote, so I don't know how the other 2 are, but I do know what this board has done in the past. So that's kind of the gist of it. So, gentlemen, I think we could beat this thing to death.
My question is right now, Mark, to you, on your picture of the parcel, the last picture in your packet.
The beacon.
Yep. The property owner, do they own, it's 2701, 2850? To the west of that, is that all one unit? They just breaking out 11 acres? Does this go with this?
No, this is it right here.
This is somebody else that owns this?
Yes, that belongs to Todd Club. That's the farm behind it. To the
Okay,
west.
is there access to get to this?
From the west,
Gravel road, yeah.
right?
From the south end?
All comes and to the south.
See with your hand.
Todd Club lives over a mile.
This field here,
west.
see, this is off the blacktop right here.
Right.
All right, I said, how do they get to this field here?
This goes clear over to 31st Avenue.
This says,
This
so
land.
they
Well,
have
that- and this-
access off of 31st
They
Avenue.
have access.
This
They
on-
have
guy-
a house and a barn on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it goes back 3/4 of a mile?
yeah.
So this parcel is the 11 acres,
Yes,
and that's what they're looking to purchase,
yes,
is the total 11.1 acres.
11.1.
Can I see a picture of what you're talking about?
He was asking who owned this and did they get access. This is the parcel right there that
Right.
Brandon and Jenica want to buy.
Yeah, and this is my property, and here's where they're gonna stick a road in. Right now, the old driveway is real close to my property line. And I don't know how far they have to stay away from.
There aren't any setbacks in our county. There's no rules for that.
But you're planning on moving the driveway, right?
For as long as Sherwood will agree to allow us to, which
Whether the driveway is 20 feet off my property line or 50 feet, it didn't exchange the thousands of cars that's gonna come up and down that driveway.
so when we move that driveway, it'll actually come farther away from your house than 32nd Avenue, the main highway that goes in front of your house.
Yeah.
But I believe the hill will create a problem then. I know you've maybe looked at it, but the existing driveway, I think you're more at the crest of the hill. If you move south, you're gonna have to see over that hill when you pull out, and I'm not sure that's possible.
We actually tested that and it's the same view. You can see the same amount of cars. It was actually more dangerous to pull out of our last driveway down the road in that development. Way more dangerous on Dead Man's Curve. This one, you have full visual this way and you have full visual that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't object to I object to the building being there, but I know you'd build something that would be very attractive. It's just that, you know, every Saturday night, here comes
Well, not every
200
Saturday
cars.
night, it's not guaranteed to rent out every Saturday.
Well, I
In the
also-
winter months, it
But
won't.
you can have 60 venues, or 60 parties there.
I mean, that's a rule that they,
So then you're saying in the summertime, we might have a wedding every other day.
Well, every weekend, every Saturday.
But we don't know.
At this point in time, you're estimating that you would be more of the, I hate to say fair weather, but that's what comes to mind. At this point in time, your thoughts are for Saturday nights.
Yep.
And I realize it takes time to build any business.
right, build it up.
You know, you build it up, and so it takes time. And so I get that, but that's what your intent is at this point in time.
It's gonna be built for heating and cooling, and it's gonna be insulated. But yes, it's just the end of April through to October.
Sure.
Guess my last question is gonna be like, I understand your concerns, the traffic and all that, I understand that. But on their side, I agree. You're not planning on having outside music outside the building, you're gonna keep it contained, right?
In the building.
I mean, on your sketch, you got a patio out there.
Yep.
That I understand, you can go out there and have drinks or whatever, eat out there, but no loud music.
The music is all in the building.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not like gonna be a stage out front where the DJs can, it's all gonna be indoors.
You know, I don't have a problem recommending that with Randy Sherwood's blessing, move the driveway as far south as possible with trees, foliage, however you state,
You keep talking about trees and foliage.
to try to buffer.
I'm 70 years old. I won't live long enough to see privacy from those things.
Well, it all depends on the type of vegetation put up there.
Well, say put switchgrass in there, that's, take a year, that'll be 5 foot, 6 foot.
Yeah, blue's gem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have that on my set aside.
Dude,
Yeah,
It-
it's very pretty
Yes,
in the fall.
yes.
Attracts a lot of wildlife.
My question to you is, how wide is this stub south of your house?
I don't have
throw 50 yards, 100 yards, 200
No,
yards
no. From,
from the end of your property
this
to where they
this
want to
is
go.
an existing driveway that,
Yeah,
okay, we're probably talking about maybe 60, 70 feet from my property to this property line.
So off Beacon, when you scale it, from their house to the property line is 300 feet.
how much?
300 feet is to the property line. So we would be probably back another 120 feet. I mean, we have to build the driveway because there's a ravine, so we can't, we're not gonna put a lot of money in dirt work to build this ravine to move the driveway at 300 feet. So from their house, it's gonna be probably 120 feet, scaled off Beacon.
But if you are taking it down 2 feet for building, you know, you're gonna have some fill that you could.
Yeah, that we could build a ravine in, but there's quite a significant.
I get that.
That would require.
Familiar with
To
the
give you an idea, this is a mature tree right there. So I don't know how wide the tree is. You can see there's not much.
Question for you, if they decide to move that driveway further to the south, would you want the old existing driveway out? Or
No,
would you want to leave it there?
it's more or less grown over with vegetation.
Well,
I-
so you just as soon it stay then?
Well,
You don't care either way?
I wouldn't care about that.
Because if you got a ravine like you're talking about, you're gonna have to put a culvert
With this.
I mean, I think ideally for us, we would like to take the dirt that's in the driveway right now,
Just a ditch.
and ditch, and move it over. So we're
in.
not
There's
paying.
probably not a culvert there in the original driveway, right? It's on the crest of the hill.
Yeah, there is.
There is a culvert?
Yeah.
I can't,
Probably not up to.
county don't use them, you
Right,
know,
so we would
reuse.
buy the new culvert from the county.
Right, right, you just would pull that culvert out from that driveway.
I'm not sure
And
where
probably
this
use the
is a
dirt, so
real
we're not
deep,
having to pay.
deep ravine going through here, and it starts like about right in here.
Mhm. See, one of the pictures here, that Mark took, everything's kind of level on the pictures.
So it's pretty level and too.
You know, so I understand where they want to build.
I have no objections to them building back here if they could run a driveway from their property to there. I would be for that. That's just, thousands of vehicles going within, 100 feet of my house. Plus the normal traffic that comes by it.
Can I ask how the normal traffic, how does that sound? I mean, is that disrupting the when it goes by?
We can hear trucks go by, cars,
I did take the pleasure of taking pictures last night of their property.
She can show you, Chloe has a better vision.
So this just has the alfalfa on it right now, which is probably knee high. And there's the red barn and there's the tree line. Obviously they trimmed up the trees, so you can see through there, but if the trees weren't trimmed, that they would
Maybe
close that. But this is only with 2 to 3 feet of alfalfa. And blue stem is like
very close.
up to here. Can you see it?
How far away is this building you're planning on keeping away from their house?
600 and some feet. 620 feet. Scale off Beacon.
And what kind of dry parking lot you plan on, just gravel?
Yeah.
No concrete?
Well, concrete, just your approach. Like, what do they do usually, 20 feet out or such? Just for like the approach going into the building.
Okay,
And the
yeah,
rest
yeah,
is
but the parking lot itself won't be concrete or
No,
asphalt.
just-
Well, gentlemen, other questions?
What is it?
We need to take some action here. Is there a motion to approve the land use change for Brandon and Jenica? That sounds correct.
I'll make a motion then.
Okay.
Brand or Kempside.
Gary?
I still have some questions about, it's 620 feet.
Yeah, I just scaled from the, like, their corner of their house to where we would have the venue at, and it's 620 feet. Scaled off Beacon.
So it's further back.
It's as close to the back of the property line as possible.
Okay.
We have issues with the fence right now. Unfortunately, Todd Klubik has taken about an acre of the property and has established that as his own. So we're in the process of getting that all figured out before we purchase the land. But ideally, it would be as back to that back property line as possible.
So 620 feet, I think the city lots, typical city lot in city of Benton is like 132 for depth. So you're about 2.5 blocks, city blocks, Benton city blocks away.
Right.
Okay.
So they're the closest, and then we're 950 feet away. We're the second closest.
Okay.
And then everybody else is far away.
Another question, Jeff, Gary?
Yeah, on this, first picture of Beacon, I don't see the farmstead on the map.
Which farmstead here?
On Beacon, there's one, well, 32nd Avenue, it's right here.
This,
And this one, it don't show anything on this side.
no, it doesn't show, and the plat book is never, you can't always, there's no accuracy to that necessarily, but on Beacon right here, this is where the Manley's residence is. The farm that is over, this is associated with, the home is over on 31st Avenue.
Okay.
Which is about 3/4 of a mile away.
Right. Right. This is the land where the tower is. Brandon and Jenica live just right up here, just roughly right here away. Like she said, it's really close. This is where the Manleys are at, and then this is the access that's there right now.
Manleys are not, they're not on this one.
No, they don't show on that.
So they would be right here.
Yes.
And how old a farmstead is that?
Oh, what?
How old a farmstead is that?
That's not a farmstead, that's a newer acreage that showed up in the last 10 years,
Oh,
12 years roughly. This land was all together at one point, and it was divided in 2008. And this acreage was created during that process. There used to be a home on it years ago. Was vacated and demolished years ago.
and this is gonna be 4 or 5 blocks from this house,
200 yards.
200 yards.
The venue itself is at approximately in here.
guess I'm having some trouble with it because whenever your property was sold to you, it was, this wasn't proposed. You'd have probably not bought the property.
Absolutely.
If in fact,
No way.
that's the only problem I'm having with it, is because.
Isn't that the case when you build anywhere?
I mean, look at the casinos though, those houses have all been established there before.
There's a development right across the road from the casino and $1 million house. And
So that's more of a commercial area, why not put it over there?
That's not,
It's not commercial. So,
it's in the middle of the country.
well, we need to get rolling. We've got a motion on the floor. Are you gonna second it, Gary?
No.
Okay, I will. So we got a motion by Tracy, seconded by myself. Call for vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Variance passed. Build a good one.
We're excited.
All right.
Keep your neighbors happy.
Oh,
sorry.
definitely. Yeah, we will. Well, Mark?
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. I'll get you a compliance certificate thereafter.
Oh, I know. You do all this, including this.
Larry's.
Larry, can you hear us? Larry Foster called me, he's on mute.
Is Larry on?
No, but I think he has his phone on mute. So I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be real quick with this. This is hopefully short. We have an application for a change in land use from Larry Coster. Larry lives at 1830 78th Street in Blairstown. What Larry'd like to do is change the use of the property here in the northeast to the northwest, section 28, 8211. It's in Leroy Township, which puts it southwest of Blairstown. You have a copy of the plat map in the application packet. Larry and his wife have an existing home here on the south side of 78th Street. Lived there for years. This request involves the sales of firearms. It's very similar to a request that we had last year that I brought to you. An individual had a gun sales permit for years and years, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms decided they wanted to see these be properly zoned, if you will. And they did that to the applicant that I just spoke of, and they've done it to Mr. Coster. Long and the short of it is that it's existed there for 30 years, very peacefully, I might add. Nobody's ever had any issues with it. I know the sheriff has not. In order for him to continue to have his permit, he had to file this application with you. We took it, I'm bringing it to you. We notified 8 adjacent property owners. There's no changes to anything going on here, nothing, other than the fact that he needs to have this license to continue to operate. Presents no conflicts with anything in the area as far as our land use, not doing anything at all, and I recommend that it be approved.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Gary and seconded by Tracy to approve the land use change for Larry Coster. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you go, Larry.
Thank you very much.
You want those back, Mark? Yes, I'll pick up whatever you don't want to keep. Please. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Got everything, Haley?
Yep, I'll get
Thank
you
you.
those resolutions later.
We need to, I'm guessing, drop down to item 14. Holly Olinger, reference 61st Street seal coating. Is that correct?
Yes, I am Holly.
So we did a petition to hopefully go forward depending on a bid from the engineer with permanent seal coating. Right now, we've paid her, I guess, John and Glenn have lived there since 1978, and since the mid-80s, they've always paid every year, probably at least down to Patterson's, to have it seal coated every year since then. So looking maybe more for a more permanent option. John actually did footage as well, so that's the, yes, and this is all of the people that are pro for going forward with it, depending on the bid. So just seeing what our options are going forward.
Now, if I recall, the farmer at the end of the road did not want any of that seal coating, or, you know, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We're not going to the end of it.
I didn't think so. Yeah. Okay. And in the past, Myron, this has been kind of a 50-50 scenario. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess to answer that question, chapter 311, the code talks about a special assessment. Actually references a petition that the residents on 61st Street Drive may have read already. I don't know. I know that I think with the first kind of special assessment the county did, and I don't know if it's been the case with all of them. A gentleman by the name of Bob Justin or something close to that. He used to be a SAC employee, but is an attorney with the law firm in Des Moines, has drafted the documents needed. I think it was his opinion that the board, both his opinion and how the code's written, because I think it's tweaked a little bit from what chapter 311 says. 311 talks about a 10-year time frame. Bob Johnston, I think, informed the board of supervisors you could do that. You could set that time limit, and so 2 previous assessments that I'm quite familiar with were done over a 5-year time frame with the special assessment to the property owners. In both of those cases, the property owners affected along that route came up with a proposed percentage. The one north of 218, just west of town, it's kind of on the east side of Rogers Park. I think there were, correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone's familiar with it, but I think there was about 12 residents out there. Some that lived right on the road, some that lived off on kind of a cul-de-sac. They all agreed amongst themselves they wanted it to be treated the same for everybody. It wasn't going to matter footage of frontage, property type of deal. And so they took total estimated cost divided by the number of households that were going to benefit from it. And they all participated in equal percentage. The one in Urbana, there was 3 property owners on that one. Those 3 property owners agreed they would just add up basically the frontage on both sides of the road, and whatever that percentage was that was associated with each property owner, they would pay that percentage. But there has been 100% approval and action, I guess, from the residents on both of those scenarios. Both of them more or less came with that proposal, with the request. I don't know if the residents out here, based on the footages that you have broken down, is looking at it from that same perspective or not. I want to say that the auditor's office and Bob Johnston helped put those costs together. Board set the interest rate and the term, and then the property owners, if you move forward, have the option of either paying what their lump sum total would be at the beginning of that time period. Otherwise, they could pay it as a special assessment installment annually due at tax time for the length of term the board sets. That.
And I was part of that over in Urbana, and we did it on the footage. Have you folks, you got footage down?
That's the way we've always done it. Everybody pays their own.
Okay, which is your as far as your oiling, et cetera.
Yeah.
Now, this can be different. You can, as Myron indicated, you can just do a head count and divide it, or you can go with your footage. And you discuss that amongst yourselves.
I guess we haven't really talked about that.
I guess assume we do it the way we've been.
It makes no difference to me.
Yeah. I don't think it makes any difference. No, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm fine writing it.
Look at that. This is, if you go just south of it, 218,
Okay, here.
where,
It's just south of the Garrison.
actually Norton used to live right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, okay,
It started there and going west.
okay.
Just for the bridge.
Just,
South of Bascom's and then the west.
How far are you gonna go?
They're proposing a half mile basically, so.
We've gone past Saunders,
Yeah.
past my sister's house.
25, 22 is what
So you're not gonna do the whole road?
I think
It'll be,
Wayne Reinhardt's the farmer at the end, isn't he?
Yeah.
And so he didn't want to participate. There really wasn't any advantage for him. Just some farm equipment running down that.
I don't know, did
basically.
what did Madonna say?
I don't think she was interested.
Yeah, I think that's why plus it's our farm, you know, there's quite a bit of road there that's just farm. And then Medorn's and then Hills and then Wayne is at the end.
Steve had called me earlier this spring that you guys were still interested. Steve Helms used to
Yeah.
work for Secretary and expressed that there was still some interest. I had started putting some costs together, and then I had put it aside. I pulled it back out last week when Holly had given my office manager a copy of the petition that you just got today, and so I was pulling some numbers out again a little bit and rechecking both, we back up the roads that we have done with this as special assessment in the past. We have put down coarse rock called macadam stone from the quarry for a road base, and then put like 3/4 inch woodstone on top of that. It's all been compacted down, and then put a double seal coat on top of it. And the secondary roads, and depending on where things are all at, maybe hire truckers to bring that material in, have done that work. And so I put the cost together with that type of rock base that will support a seal coat. And with this program, the county has assumed maintenance on the seal coat then once the project has been completed. To date, I'd say we've had 2 of those locations in the county that have come forward and wanted to pursue doing that. The code talks about 50% being the minimum participation from a resident standpoint. It could be more, but it could be any less. And so that's where the county has started in the past. And those 2 groups of landowners have both expressed interest and moved forward with that. Some others have asked about it, but I've never gotten beyond that question. This would be the 3rd group that has asked a little bit more.
So do you have numbers put together for everyone? You guys know how much this all will cost?
No. Last time I was in here, a couple of years ago, asking, but I think it was $55
So kind of waiting on Myron to see what the updated cost of material is.
You can take all of it if you want to. I made extras, and I figured it wasn't sure who was all going to show up today. Doing some checking and double checking, and I don't think my numbers are going to be too far off. I worked it the way I've always done it in the past. I've actually taken the area being impacted and taken length, width, thickness, done my calculations, and then estimating time to do the work. This total cost comes out to about $35 a foot, which I don't think is too far off from what Steve and I had talked about at one time. just breaking down the 5 items you've got on the sheet there, the academy stone cost, and you're gonna start doing some math. Includes the cost of the material itself plus the hauling cost. Same with 3/4 inch roadstone. Double seal coat would be just the materials, you put the seal coat material down. You do it, the road itself would need to be cored out a little bit next to 218. There's a nice paved fillet that comes out past the stop sign. But from where that asphalt ends, a person would need to core that out so that the seal coat would match that same height, and have base underneath it before you start. Any shaping, any other grading, site ditches that may or may not need to be done. And then just the cost of the county's equipment and labor, is what I came up with, I'm guessing. It could be about a 3-day project. I was gonna take a day and a half to haul that rock material and do the seal coating. Based on some past experiences, it'd only be in a half-mile long, it would take one to put the seal coat on. If you're doing 2 seal coats, it's actually better if it actually set a day or 2. So you end up with some partial days that really mess with doing some cost estimating here. But I feel this estimate is fairly accurate, I believe.
How, in the past, how did you handle the intersections for, in this case, we got road to stop sign 38 feet. How did you handle that? Obviously, it's part of the total cost. If you take the 91,000, divide that by half, that's 45.5, and then divide it by the 22 something.
38 feet in question on here, I think, is 6, 7, 8 inches of asphalt that was placed by the asphalt contractor when they were doing 218. That was paid for by the county.
You're probably not going to tear it
Yeah,
out.
I'm not planning on tearing it out. I'm planning on starting just on the edge of that, moving forward. And although it's kind of part of the proposed project, I would say it's already been probably built and paid for by the county.
So you're really not figuring that in on your cost
No.
estimates? Okay. Sure.
My cost estimate would be pouring out next to that to get down
Okay.
8, 9 inches, so we put the rock base and start seal coat to match the same surface as the pavement.
With the past, I think, or portion that I was party to, there was that, it was a 50-50 deal, just as Myron said. And we took the whole road, not just half, took the whole road for foot each. And then we had the option, as he said, to pay it all up front or put it on with your taxes. And that had a interest rate, I think at that time, of about 5%. Don't hold me to that. I don't know how that came about, you know, they just grabbed a number out of the air, or if it was tied to some bank rate. I honestly don't know. So, do you recall?
I don't recall. I think my recollection is that you looked at some current rates that were at the time, and then Bob Justin was, and I don't know how much notes Haley has in the auditor's office. But
There's a
there
whole
might be
file.
positive he gave the board of supervisors guidance on how to suggest setting the interest rate.
I think the one I was involved on was either 4 or 5%, something like that. And I would anticipate, you know, that's probably what you can go borrow money at the bank at, you know. So, yeah. Any questions, gentlemen?
Are you guys still interested in this with these numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I invite you to come out and sit on my front porch and watch the traffic.
Isn't it amazing for
For
a
like-
dead-end road? how
for
busy
2
it
days.
is? Yeah.
Well, it's quite a residential development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So if we talk with the residents who are not here who signed the petition, and they are for it. Should I just make another appointment, a supervisors meeting like next Tuesday,
Yeah,
or?
I think that would
Yeah, we need to have time to, I probably need to
prudent.
research a little more on that too.
for the interest rates, you know, to come up with a good estimate.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Should I get on the agenda now for next Tuesday, or do we need
I'll
more
get in
time?
touch with you.
Okay.
I'll see what I can find for that file.
Okay.
That shouldn't change the cost so much, should it?
No.
It won't change his cost.
It won't, change my estimated cost, I can't remember if there was a fee that came with Bob's time and whether that was included
We
in
used
that.
him on our
It
field.
wouldn't add much, but
Okay.
Did you say these figures were for half mile?
they are, and I know that I came up with the same number I heard you mention earlier, but I think originally when Steve and I talked on the phone, I was thinking, he told me right around 2,600 feet is what I had scribbled down as a notes earlier in the spring, and so that was just what I used for my calculations.
You remeasure that?
I can say I
I
have
just
it.
had one of those wheels.
Yeah, we've got wheels and we've got a number of vehicles that have measuring devices in them that measure the circumference of the wheel and measure it that way too. Adding those up, it was 2522, I think, something close to that number. I mean, 2,600 feet, less than 100 feet on a roadway isn't going to change the estimated cost that much. And since we're talking estimates at this point, that would be very minimal difference.
How many are these, all the residents that are in that 2,600 feet?
Correct. That'd be about half mile down.
Okay.
You're just plowing oil and chipping them after you got it graded?
Put the base.
Putting down the base rock.
Yeah.
The cat rock down and choke stone, which is how pretty much all of the seal coats are in Benton County.
No, probably was.
It's quite
Yep.
durable.
Don't
I've been
you,
extremely pleased.
don't you oil
It's up to you.
and chip it now in front of some
At
of
their
the residents?
cost.
It's the county's dust control product.
Right,
Visually looks the same, but it's different materials.
it's different,
Yeah.
probably thicker than,
It's a
regular.
thicker material that steel coat is used to put down, at a heavier rate. The chips are usually a little bit bigger too, whereas what's done is dust control is a thinner material that gets sprayed down there, and then the chips are just more or less broadcast spread across that as opposed to uniformly in chip spreader with the uniform rate.
Do you roll it in then after you, okay?
Rock would all be compacted, rolled, as well as the chips on the seal coat. That is part of that process.
Now, there's a form on the end of that road there, how much grain or storage, I know there's bins there. How much storage?
Well, we have 5 storage bins.
You do?
on farm, yeah. I don't know how many left.
You think for truck traffic?
Yes.
Oh, it holds up.
Does it?
Yes.
The dairy south of Blairstown, they have it. Well, I don't know if that's the same, is that the same kind of?
Parts of that is, part of it is different, but there's other seal coats around that have got average grain traffic on them, and are doing well. I can say outside of Atkins, it's the same thing. That was one that hasn't held up as well along the outside edge, but same type of construction.
That one.
Do you have many frost boils there last year? No, mile, half mile.
No, you can come out and look
No,
at it, it's perfect.
we actually, I've dealt with a lot of frost boils, as Minor can tell you. We don't have frost boils on that road.
Last
This
year.
is the second year.
Last year, I don't remember any frost boils on that road. I mean, we had it a couple, 3 years ago, really, really bad. A couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, no frost boils. We get some pretty good ditches and good drainage, which helps.
Good.
The Gary, that road, they haven't really done anything with that, and it's got, well, I don't know how many 100 semis are in the fall, plus they got probably 3 semis a day for milk.
Over in Urbana, you'd be amazed how many people miss the exit for the interstate. They go down the road that, our frontage, if you will. Not only cars, but semis, as well as the local traffic with farm equipment, as well as semis, grain, or livestock. So it's really holds up. I'd recommend that, they get on the schedule. We're looking probably at a 50-50 scenario as in the past. Give us time to check out an interest rate. And then you've got an estimate, I think Myron said about $35 a foot. So you got your footage. You need to visit with each and every one and make sure that everybody's on board. Get on schedule for next week. Sounds good.
Well, they should have it ironed out before they come there. Do they wanna go have it ironed out between 11 people?
That's correct.
Whether they all wanna just divide it by 11,
Well,
or if they wanna go by the footage. You follow me?
Well, as John had indicated, they'd all been doing it by the foot at this point in time with their, dust control. So, but you guys get it worked out.
We never even considered something different. I mean,
Sure.
do it that way.
Well, got you on the schedule.
Sounds good.
Okay, good.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
everybody
Myron.
coming. Well, is there one we need to take before the other? I know Myron was at a time 10 a.m. Sheriff, you're not in a timed item here.
We have a 10:30 security.
Yeah.
10:30?
If that's closed, I'd like to keep that to the end since we had to move everything in.
Okay, very good. So let's take Myron's and then roll from there. Then to the sheriff and then the closed session.
East Central Iowa REC has a request to bore under 18th Avenue. Give you sections for 28, 29 Leroy. It's the same exact location, I think, here a week or two ago, maybe 3, that Toxic Water was asking for the same deal for, and Rock Road there that's in Leroy.
So moved. Second.
Gary made the motion to approve the utility permit for East Central Iowa REC and Tracy seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Today is the 7th, yes.
7th. June 16th, last month, was the monthly DOT wedding. In that wedding, the county had a box culvert replacement project, twin box. There were 5 bidders that submitted that to the DOT.
Slight difference.
Yes, there is. Sometimes there's a few contractors that bid based on their schedule or just provide a bid for comparison. Maybe somewhat same statement, but with DOT projects, the Board of Supervisors still need to accept those bids. I'm recommending that action, I guess, that bids be accepted as presented to the DOT. Second item on the agenda was to award it to the lowest responsible bidder. Taylor Construction was the low bid, and they have done numerous projects in Benton County over the last 25 years. So
Can we do this all in one motion, or do you think so? Okay, all right. So we need a motion to accept the bids for the twin culvert replacement as stated, and to award that project to the lowest bidder, who was Taylor Construction. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Tracy made the motion, Gary seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Rick, if you recall, it's been probably at least a year now since we've done a project through the DOT, but the DOT is doing all of their executing the contracts electronically through Doc Express, and you had went on computer, and it took a little bit to get that all figured out. Well, between then and now, Doc Express is also, DOT was working on this because there were a number of counties that have asked this request, and that is that by resolution, the Board of Supervisors can give a designee, generally in the county's case, the county engineer, the ability to go in there and sign those contracts. If you're in favor of that, I have a resolution here that would need to be done with each project, because it would be project specific when there's a project done that way, and then we would, it'd still bring you the bid tax.
Excellent idea.
And so what I have is a resolution here specifically for this project, and that the county engineer and myself be the one that would be able to execute that contract on Doc Express.
All right. What's that resolution number?
2049.
2049, okay. Is there a motion to approve that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and that's, Gary made that motion to approve resolution 2049. And Tracy seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution.
Oh, it's resolution, I'm sorry. Call for vote.
Check aye.
Seaman, aye.
And Primer, aye. No, both these copies signed, don't you?
Yes, please. Need to scan one and send it to the DOT, and I like for the auditor's office to keep one on file too.
Business property tax credit.
Do you want this back?
You can if you don't want it. So those three bids were all under the engineer's estimate.
Nice.
Where's that box over there?
This one is on E24, the County Home Road, as I call it, the pavement east of Benton. It'd be about a mile, just over a mile west of the Oak Grove Church.
West.
The contract was written such to get started later this month. They're the North Iowa tractor ride, which is happening the last weekend, or close to last weekend in July, and I forget if it's day 1 or day 2 that they're traveling over this route, so I asked them to not do anything until after that. And the contract was written out to 4 working days, actually started, I think, on the 27th of July, so I know the county tractor would like to get this process so that all of the discussions happen after today's action.
Sure.
I talked to you a few times, but we finally got things done in our office, but 2 bridges that exist right now that are weight limit. One is on 4 mile west of Atkins on 31st Avenue. To replace that bridge with a box culvert. And then on 19th Avenue over near Terre Hills Golf Course, there's a wooden bridge just south of the pavement. It's got a weight limit on it. We're replacing that bridge with a twin box culvert, proposing to get these plans out to contractors and have a bid letting opening on August 4th. Tuesday, 10 o'clock was available to talking to Haley yesterday, so I take a motion to set that letting date for that date and time, and then also get the board's signatures on this type of
Approval and set the date.
Okay.
Move. Second.
Okay. All right, Gary made the motion, Tracy seconded to approve the signing for these plans and to set the date for August 4th at 10 a.m., correct?
Correct.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Here, or, oh yeah. Boy, is that fine print.
I was having problems myself yesterday.
What you charge for? What you charge for?
While he's signing, I want to give the guys a big thank you. I got a call on Saturday about the blowout on your area, south of Norway, from a farmer. And I called Randy, did not know he was on vacation. And 2.5 hours later, the farmer called me back and praised me that I had action. And I said, don't thank me, thank the secondary roads. They jumped right on it on the 4th of July. So make sure they get a thumbs up.
There was a number of them down there. No, they were down there Saturday and then Sunday. Well, Sunday, which one of the two? I think it was Sunday, they just drove everything down there. So,
They were working yesterday.
yeah, they were cleaning things up yesterday with what didn't get really picked up from the weekend, as well as dressing them up a little bit more. But there were a few that heaved pretty good that from a traveling public standpoint, there was quite a bump that really needed to be addressed.
Randy was surprised that I knew about it before the sheriff knew about it. Usually the sheriff finds these spots. So.
Sheriff had a different phone number weekend since Randy was on vacation, so the guy that took the call was readily available and got some people on their way.
It's not bad, that's all we had.
There was a fair amount there now.
Oh, yeah.
Last thing on the agenda, doing some research for clarification whether we need any additional action from the county. But the bridge west of Mount Auburn that you signed the plans for a twin box culvert replacement, a company called JCG Land Acquisition has been meeting with property owners. When they met with them earlier in the process, both property owners on each side of the road had mentioned a recent sale that wasn't more than about 3 or 4 miles away from the property's project site. did some research and found that land sale, that farm grounds may be a little bit better than what we had up there, but they were referencing the price that was paid for that farm and what that equated to per acre. We ended up offering both of those property owners that same price per acre. The one property owner has signed the paperwork and it's coming back in the mail. The other one, even with the change in price per acre, that's not their concern. They're dead set against the box culvert design, and we more or less freeze and pass on trying to do that land acquisition. I'm not sure if how we have done our programming and projects meets all of the requirements before we would move forward. But if we were to move forward, the board would need to make that decision, and then I would need to get hold of the county attorney and proceed if we would have to go to condemnation. But I know on past projects where we've had that, there's been maybe some more public involvement versus just the annual 5-year program and approving plans at just board meetings. And I'm not sure if that meets all of the requirements moving into a condemnation proceeding or not. But I would say that if we're going to move forward with this project as designed, that's the only route that's going to get it to that point with this project.
What's his beef? You gonna dump all the water on him?
He wants a bridge, doesn't he?
Bridge is the only thing that could be considered there, period. Anything but that doesn't make any sense.
That's his opinion, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I've seen and heard from him is an opinion.
He hasn't had another engineer's opinion or anything, it's just a personal opinion. Anybody up to? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I wanted to confirm if there's anything more that the county needs to do before we could move forward. But if we can't, then if we need whatever formal action we would need to do first, if we need to do it, we'll do that. But if you're basically in agreement with still pursuing it that way, that's where I'm going. And if we need to, then we'll get a hold of the county attorney. But I just want to make sure, based on the plans, proposed plans, as I've talked to you about and what we're proposing to do, has still met your approvals. And that being primarily that bridge being replaced with that box culvert. You got a copy of the letter that the consultant put together, stating the other outside organizations that have DNR and the DOT specifically that have reviewed those plans and that the design meets the criteria that is needed for replacements.
I have a question. What is there right now?
A bridge.
Okay. And if you tear that out and do basically a bridge by box culverts,
Right.
however you phrase that, do you need to acquire more land to do that?
You do.
Okay.
The design standards have changed, and so the road geometry has changed.
Approximately how much additional from the landowner is objected? Well,
say an acre type deal.
and the issue wasn't the compensation, it was
the type of structure.
if you replaced the bridge with a bridge, would you still need the additional land?
We would still need some, whether the footprint would be exactly the same or not, but early in the stages, based on the bridge size and rough needs for that project, it was estimated at that time that maybe $50,000 to $75,000 of additional cost would be
For a bridge.
for the bridge versus the culvert. And so, based on our experience with culverts, actually I like the maintenance aspect of it instead of having vertical objects
on the roadway that cause winter hazards. The box culvert keeps the roadway all open, and so the wind blowing allows the snow to blow across and do a lot less collecting. How far west of Mount Auburn is this? What, about 2 miles? Okay.
This guy that's complaining, is he on the high side or the low side?
He's on the low side.
Okay.
The stream right now got straightened many, many years ago, and it runs parallel to the road, and then it has to turn under the bridge currently to flow north. The box culvert would actually probably provide some extra protection in the ditch right now to help turn that, because there's been some man-made structures put in the ditch right now to help divert the water to turn north to go under the bridge.
What's your timeline for trying to get this done?
Right now, it was proposed to be a next year's construction project, being let this winter. But, yeah.
I'm just, it's always best if we can come to an arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know that we would be doing a condemnation under the current COVID rules in place by the court, because the chief judge selects the condemnation jurors,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a quasi-court proceeding. I don't know if, we're not having any jury trials per se. This isn't, condemnation is not a jury trial, but we're not doing any of those till September 14th. As of right now, so we might have some delays in actually getting people to be assembled. Now, if things with the virus were to ease off and things open up, then it doesn't take long to do one. You need about 35 to 40 days. You have to allow a certain amount of time after service, things of that nature. But again, with this virus, nobody knows what the fall is going to bring at this point.
Well, that's his hope, is to let it this winter.
Yeah.
If it gets delayed, it gets delayed, obviously.
The original thought was fall, Bill, I think September, October letting was where I was last visually proposing. And certainly the virus has some impact.
But from a condemnation standpoint, the county, of course, never wants to proceed in condemnation. We like to work things out with individuals.
Mm-hmm.
But for a road project, the condemnation is going to happen. It's a proper purpose for condemnation. The only issue is, the amount of compensation that will be awarded.
Mm-hmm.
And that, the result of the formal condemnation proceeding will be, there will be an entry of an order from the condemnation jury to condemn, and they will set value for the land in question. It's clearly a public purpose. So it seems like a good waste of time, effort, and money for something that's at the end is going to be something that happens.
Okay. So you need us to
Yeah, you just, I don't know if I need action.
discuss and action.
I was doing some research from an action standpoint. I don't have all my answers, so I put it on that way at this point. But discussion, from what I'm hearing from you, is fine. When the JCG Land Services representative was last with that property owner, he and his family clearly stated that they were going to fight the design until the end and wouldn't agree to the acquisition due to the design being a culvert and not a bridge.
Yeah, and again, they can fight that by one of them can run for supervisor and get elected. I don't need to be glib about it.
You need two.
Well,
To agree to it.
but if one made a well-reasoned argument is maybe they can sway others. It's unfortunate.
And maybe a statement to them, yet from that perspective, may or may not change their mind. Say, I agree with Dave, they say if we can arrange with the right of way and negotiate that voluntarily, it eliminates the process if at all possible.
Right. Yeah. It helps with public relations as well.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Okay. Very good. Anything else, Larry?
That's all I had.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How's, soon the Atkins project?
A week or two yet, I think.
I jumped on over the weekend. Won't let it lay.
Oh, we will be discussing security committee's, recommendation here shortly, and you're part of that committee. If you'd like to hang around, it's totally up to you. If you got better things to do, I understand. Well, Sheriff, yours won't take too long, and you're part of the committee as well, so let's catch this. And, Haley?
Here's this quarterly.
Thank you. Do we wish to go through everything before we go into closed session? What's that?
I said it'd be easier, it's not that much, yeah.
It's easier.
But I hate wasting everybody else's time.
I'm good.
Here's the city water. What?
What's that?
I guess part of the session.
Well, she says it's just
That's
easier to do it
IJ.
at the very end.
I don't care.
It won't take long to go through this stuff.
We got the claim here, so.
Yeah.
We can do those later, we don't need that.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's this?
Nobody wants mine anyway, it's too far away.
Got a secret code of who's gonna park right here.
What is this?
This is the athletic thing with the jail.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And they are gonna drive the biggest old Peters you ever saw.
Oh. For what, out here?
One of them's gonna be me.
That's a good color. I've seen that dress before, that's a good
Like, it's comfy.
color.
It's cold in here. Or hot. According to my last dress.
That's not.
This one was standing back. Ready?
Two more items. The one that you bring was the flood
Sure.
policy renewal.
Yeah.
And the one on the bottom is the lease between Benton County and Sea Valley Ranch.
Okay, I think there's some keys in the box on top of the, one. All right. That's okay. Catch you later.
Motion to do the approve.
Let's,
I'm gonna let him let you. Yeah, I'll make the motion.
okay, all right.
Sheriff's quarterly.
Should be some large numbers in there
Seen that.
from condemnation hearings. But we are done with the Highway 30 project. Everything's done
For now.
for now.
All as usual then during this virus time period.
we backed them off, and then we had what they call friendly ones at the end. We did have to go view property on one. Yes, we did. I think we did 3. Otherwise, before that, we did a bunch.
Well, I've got a motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly report. Have you seen enough of it, Gary? You give a second?
I'm not wading through it yet.
Okay.
What building's that for?
See the sheriff's office.
I thought it's built.
What's that?
I thought the sheriff's office is off the ground, so don't flood.
Well, it is, but you're still, if it floods, you're still gonna have damage. Need that, it's got limestone all around it. And there was a price here on the policy. Yeah. I don't know. That also takes into effect, I believe, your storage. Is that correct?
There's 2 buildings there.
Them are the floodplain.
As well, yes.
They're lower.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go ahead and second it.
Okay. Motion by Tracy, seconded by Gary to approve the sheriff's quarterly report. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I think we need to initial the back. You fold this one way or other, can't remember.
Yeah, but I can get it from you after.
Okay, okay, very good.
And I'll make a motion to accept the flood insurance policy for the sheriff's department.
Second.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Yeah. Motion by Tracy, seconded by Gary to approve the flood policy renewal for the sheriff's office. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I believe you also have the lease agreement extension, if you will, between Benton County and Cedar Valley Ranch.
Yeah, the rain sent me that last week, but it was too late.
What's the terms? You know?
I don't, that's,
It's just
we
changing
have,
the date, it's saying, they pay us like $1,000 every month. And then if you look at the back, if they make over
well, this is just an extension.
yeah, it's the same one that's in place, it's just changing the dates. Which normally we've been out to visit with their board by now, but with COVID we haven't, but we usually have a meeting out there once a year.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the lease agreement extension for the Cedar Valley Ranch.
Second.
Motion by Tracy, seconded by Gary to approve that lease agreement extension between Benton County and Cedar Valley Ranch. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Do you happen to know how many residents they have out there?
I do not, no.
What's that?
Usually
So
full.
they're usually full. I was thinking, well, I know the board just met here a week or 2 ago for the first time since the virus. And
I think that's when they did that.
I thought Jerry said that they were still at full capacity. Thought he was. That's really important for them financially.
Sheriff, how has this worked out with Shellsburg? Because,
It's worked out very well.
okay, because they had a full-time staff and now it's basically half-time with one deputy. Okay, but it's worked out.
Very well.
Normally, these are done February or March.
Yeah, we do them at the,
If they come to a different time, still they?
we try to, they're pretty much all on the fiscal year.
Okay.
I may have been late getting Nothing's changed in any of those.
Motion.
We do them all three in one.
Oh, here's the other one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see this one here.
Unless you want them separate.
We can do them all in one, I'll itemize them out, how much.
And this is Atkins. I didn't see it there.
Are their hours of coverage changing at all?
Not in those. Atkins, we have been down and spoke with Atkins. They are looking at possibly next year of upping some hours.
Because they're at 18.
And we've recently been contacted by Urbana. Jerry is retiring. I don't know if, they don't know if they're gonna continue with the police department, try to move with the contract. We have encouraged Atkins that they have had enough growth that they could probably use their own department. Urbana's in the
Same situation.
situation.
They've got that new town center developing now, so. Okay.
It would be a big thing for a small community like when Shellsburg did. You know, you lose a lot of your identity. You don't have your own police anymore. But their population wasn't such that.
Well, Gary made the motion to approve all three contracts with Atkins, New Hall, and Shellsburg. Tracy, you want to second that? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay.
Okay, so all I have
It's
is,
Sheriff, for yours, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, now you've got some
the
property.
business property, there's 89 new ones, and we do it by resolution.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to stay and sign all these afterwards.
Okay.
So if you wanna accept that resolution, we list out how many new applied and stuff.
Okay. What's that resolution number?
2049, because since we did my orders before this one, I had to switch them around.
Oh, yours was 48 then.
Yep.
Yeah, 49.
But I was trying to
Okay.
go off.
All right. So resolution 2049 is to accept or deny. I imagine you would accept the
I didn't
89.
see any denials requested by the assessors, all new
Okay.
ones, so.
They're all to be approved. Okay. And this is for property tax
It's
relief.
for the 19 assessment year, so these people will get the tax credit.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Gary, seconded by Tracy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Then we have our claims. And so,
To answer your question, Tracy?
Yes.
We're waiting for Ron to approve that one, I think,
Went to,
since it was a rural access center, so that's
went to
why.
Lindsay to put on a spreadsheet with some new lines and new numbers.
Created a project for all those over there, so we can keep track.
Easier to track.
Okay.
So that's why it wasn't in it, because the last one you got June 23rd, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Cause I signed it, put the name on it. And I
That's
said,
the
"Well,
last.
you put this on your sheet."
We'll talk later.
Okay.
all right, on the claims, I'm on page 2. Very top one, It's got Three Rivers for $950 conservation life insurance premium. What is
They
that?
have their separate policy number.
Okay. All right. And then midway down, Sheriff's IT Services, BGM, what does that stand for?
That's John Friel.
Okay, all right. Okay,
EGS, it's the corporation.
okay, very good. On page 3, you've got one in here for Sarah Marie Whitman, for jail services, 3212.
That is, it had been years since we had the jail menu go through a dietitian.
Okay,
So it went through the dietitian at Virginia.
and that's what she is the dietitian. Okay, that's what they
Got all
charge.
that squared away again.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on page 5, Myron Secondary Roads, Actera Group, Secondary Road Building, 1369.75. Any thoughts? Haley or Myron, what that is?
What's that from?
Well, it's Actera Group.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like an insurance.
CCERRA. Company.
All
Honestly,
that is the fuel.
Yeah, I can look it up.
Okay. And that was the questions I had, so she'll look that up. Other questions, gentlemen?
Larry, you, streetlights, Watson Savings Bank,
Yes,
that's billed to the bank for the lights in Watkins,
correct.
and then we, the county.
They send me a bill annually.
Yep, got it.
Around July, on all the street lights.
Yeah. And then I guess I was kinda like Rick here, as for the sheriff, you got the VGM group. I didn't compare the numbers, I'll do it right now. 216, yeah, all right, in the first wave, you got in here 2,500, 5,000, 10,000, that's on page 2. Then if you jump to page 6, towards the bottom, VGM group again, the same VIN number, BB82416.
Well, I think that shows the funds it comes out of, isn't it?
And if I divide that up.
But it's in there again for 10,000.
The total on the block hours was 30.
Okay.
30,000, and then it gets divided up amongst the
Okay,
different departments there and part of it for 911.
okay, got it. Total bill was 30 in there.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay.
Understood. Questions answered. Your turn, Jerry.
We're good.
Okay. So motion to approve the claims.
So good.
Second.
All right.
I'm guessing that doesn't make Gina the happiest when I do it that way.
Motion by Tracy, seconded by Gary. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay. Now, is there a motion to go into
Well, do
closed
we wanna go into closed session? you think?
session?
I think I don't think it needs to be forever, but it'll chit chat about the recommendations publicly.
Correct. So this would be pursuant to Iowa Code 21.5. I think that's a 1K.
Okay.
Sometimes you can't tell 1L. Okay. Is there a second?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.